influence of money and muscle power in Indian election, which will include, apart from other things, the criminalization of politics and the simultaneous election. These are all the topics which are evergreen topics, which are always in the news. We are going to discuss the pros, cons, the impact of these things. Mostly we know that there is criminalization of politics, but we do not bother to write down the 6 or 7 impact, what's wrong with criminalization of politics. Okay, and also we shall see the recommendations and way forward with respect to all these topics. Okay, so before moving further, please confirm if audio and video everything is clear. My name is Madhusudan Sharma and this is the N100 Polity series, in which we are discussing all the topics from mains perspective, whichever theme that we think that is suitable to for the UPSC mains examination. We discuss it in detail. We do the in-depth analysis. Okay, so let's start the class with the first topic, that is model code of conduct. Well, we must have heard this name definitely, because this is something, whenever election comes it becomes a news, but probably we might not be knowing the definition of model code of conduct and what is the history of model code of conduct, how it has evolved. When UPSC asks question, UPSC asks this aspect of the model code of conduct. So these are the things also that we shall study. First and foremost thing, let's understand what model code of conduct is there. So like it's just simply a code of conduct. Code of conduct means how you should behave. Okay, and model code of conduct means the ideal way of behavior. Since we are talking about the election, it is about the ideal way of behavior during election. And it is for whom? It is for all the candidates. It is for all the people who are associated with election. It is for political parties as well. So let's write down the definition of model code of conduct. Yeah. So it is a set of guidelines intended to help the poll campaign maintain high standards of public morality. So what is the objective of model code of conduct? If a question comes, why we have model code of conduct? So that we could ensure the high standards of public morality and provide a level playing field for all parties and candidates. Level playing field is very important. See, we are in a democracy. In a democracy, what we are practically saying that, see, everyone is equal. Every citizen has equal opportunity to occupy any field in the country, occupy any post, any public post. So obviously equal opportunity is possible only when the level playing field is available between all the candidates who are contesting the elections. Okay, let's take the example what is said in the model code of conduct for one of the things. Like it talks about all the good things that you can imagine. Say you should not ask vote in the name of religion. You should not promote enmity between different communities. You should not give bribe to the voters. You should not spread hatred uh, between different communities. So all the good things which you can imagine, the moral principles, all are there in these model code of conduct. A few example I have given. It prohibits political parties from creating mutual hatred between different religion, caste and community. In yesterday's class we have seen that this was also an example of corrupt practices under RPA 1951. It it bars candidates and parties from criticizing leaders or workers on their personal life. See, you are not supposed to discuss the personal life of anyone. It is the matter of public life. Someone is contesting election, it's a domain, it's not his personal life. So you should refrain from discussing the personal life. Now, the Model Code of Conduct is a consensus document released by Election Commission of India. So, who releases it? Election Commission of India. How is it made? So, it is made by bringing about consensus among various political parties. All political parties have sat together with the Election Commission of India and they have agreed to abide by these codes. Okay, and like from where is this? The code are obviously a kind of rules regulation. So how is Election Commission of India getting this power? Election Commission of India is getting this power under Article 324. In yesterday's class I have told you that Article 324 gives plenary power to Election Commission of India. Plenary power means that any power which is required for conducting free and fair election is there with the Election Commission of India. Okay. The name of the judgment is Mohinder Singh Gill versus Chief Election Commissioner 1978. Mohinder Singh Gill versus Chief Election Commissioner 1978. In this case, the Supreme Court has given this judgment that Election Commission has the plenary power to do anything which is required for conducting free and fair election. Okay. And obviously, I have given you the answer as to why we need the Model Code of Conduct. One thing is that to ensure that there is a level playing field, to ensure that there is high standard of public morality. But apart from these objectives, there are certain reasons also why we need Model Code of Conduct. Because the courts are not allowed to interfere in the electoral process. Article number 329 says that courts are not allowed to interfere in the electoral process. So suppose someone is not happy, if level playing field is violated, someone is using some corrupt practices, there must be some avenues for a person for addressal of grievances. So since courts are not allowed, there must be some other avenue, and that avenue to address the grievances is Election Commission of India. So to address the grievances, Election Commission of India is the appropriate opportunity, and Election Commission of India does it through Model Code of Conduct. And why we also have Model Code of Conduct is because we need to have quick action. See, there is 15 days for campaigning, and within these 15 days, if someone gives any slanderous statement, any false accusation is made, and Election Commission is not, I mean, if a quick action is not taken, in that case, a delayed action will not bring about any justice. If election is completed and then the court is saying that you have done something wrong, what's the utility of this thing? The objective of that person is achieved. He has abused another community, he has spread hatred between the community, he has won the election. So that's why, since there is a requirement of quick action, we have Model Code of Conduct. Is it clear? So next we shall see that how has this Model Code of Conduct evolved. Its origin is traced to 1960 State Legislative Assembly election of Kerala, and you can see that it is the Kerala State Administration that had issued a set of guidelines. We have seen that not only the Parliament but even a state legislature is empowered to bring about legislation. Okay, but normally no state government has brought this legislation, but definitely they can issue some guidelines. So they have issued a set of guidelines that these are the model principles that we should do. Obviously, Election Commission of India liked it. So in 1962 elections, the Model Code of Conduct was adopted at national level by Election Commission of India. But initially, this Model Code of Conduct was having only limited items, and it was merely with respect to candidates. In 1970s and 80s, its scope broadened. It, like the roles and responsibilities of political parties, and especially parties in power. Like, this is the biggest thing which was threatening the level playing field, that those who were already occupying the power, they were using the government machinery. So how to stop them from using the government machinery? So this was the major hindrance at that point of time, which was considered that by using government machinery, the level playing field was violated. Someone can issue advertisement, someone can use the government vehicle, someone can use the bureaucracy to influence the voters. So initial focus was on parties in power. But again, these were mere guidelines. They were not very much effective in nature. So it became effective only after 1991 when TN session started effectively implementing it. So like TN session was the Chief Election Commissioner. He is also credited with making Election Commission of India a powerful organization, a meaningful organization, and also he made the Model Code of Conduct a meaningful code of conduct. Okay. Later on, some more things have been added. For example, in 2001, a mutual agreement between Election Commission, central and state government was achieved. Like before this, Election Commission was doing consultation and then releasing. But in this case, 2001, a fresh consultation was done and a mutual agreement was reached between Election Commission, central government and state government and all the political parties also. In 2014, some new guidelines with respect to election manifestos were also added. Like before this, everything was about the conduct, and in this conduct, the manifestos were also added in 2014. See, this was something which was related to freebies. Everyone was saying that we will bring you, it's like the way it happens in love. The boyfriend promises to his girlfriend that we will bring you the moon and stars and whatnot. Similarly, the political parties are also promising that we will give you moon and star and whatnot for free of cost. So there has to be a rationale behind all these things. So these were also included in 2014. So this is how it has evolved. Maybe before giving exam, if some election is conducted and something more is added, you can add that to this evolution story. Okay. There was certain other aspect also, like in this mutual agreement, one thing was agreed that it will come into force from the date of announcement of election. So the date on which election is announced, on that day, from that day, the model code of conduct is enforced. Okay. So this is something which was agreed in 2001, and it was also agreed that before the date of filing of nomination, only 3 weeks before the date of filing of nomination, the date should be announced. Okay, so it's not that election commission, like election is to be conducted in December and election commission has announced the date in January itself. That is not going to happen. Election commission also agreed that we will announce the dates only 3 weeks before the release of notification. Like once the notification is released, then the nomination process etc. start. So 3 weeks before the release of notification, the election date would be announced, and from that date the model code of conduct would come into effect. Okay. Next thing, it was also agreed that once model code of conduct is effective, no politician will announce any public project, and the politician will also not inaugurate any uh, public project. Okay, it is like very common thing, no? Ministers etc. They go and there is a stone slate on which it is written that this program was inaugurated or like this project was handed over to the public by Minister so and so. Obviously, these things create a positive emotion about the concerned leader. So to maintain the level playing field, it was decided that during MCC, no political leader will announce or will inaugurate any public project. If like you had got 5 years to inaugurate any project, etc., if you did not complete or inaugurate any project in the 5 years, you cannot do it in last 3 weeks. Okay, this is the thing that everyone agreed. Next, a question is always asked whether model code of conduct is effective or not, and it is like uh, the Election Commission of India. What is the role played by Election Commission of India? So the question could be independently that whether the model code of conduct is effective or not, or there could be a question whether Election Commission of India is playing an effective role or not. Now there are always two aspects of these kind of questions. First aspect is yes, uh, model code of conduct is effective, or like Election Commission of India is playing an effective role. The second aspect is that they are not as effective. There are certain lacunas, there are some ineffectiveness, which is also like considered challenges, criticism, etc. of model code of conduct. Okay, so let's see where it is effective. So the first thing is it has definitely set the standards, like new provisions are added. We have just discussed about uh, the various new provisions that have been added, like a new provision related to manifesto. Even in 2014, new provisions related to social media campaigns were also added. Okay, so time and again it is updating itself as well. It is setting a correct standard. Next is it ensures level playing field. For example, you can give the example. See, examples are very important. Everyone will write the points. Model code of conduct is known to everyone, but until unless you give example, the answer will not be effective. So it ensures the level playing field. For example, let us stay on the Election Commission of India. State the Prime Minister's biopic release before 2019 election, or even like in for elections in Uttar Pradesh, it once, like at that point of time BSP was in power, it ordered to cover all the elephants, like the then Chief Minister had made a lot of elephants statue throughout the state, and it was like perceived that elephant was the election symbol of her political party. It was perceived that this elephant is reminding people of the whom to vote. So that's why Election Commission said that all these elephants must be covered. Then see, this is like setting a standards. Then the next thing is it also does some concurrent regulation. Concurrent means as and when something goes wrong, then Election Commission issues certain orders. For example, advertisement regulation. All the advertisement in the print media has to take the prior approval of Election Commission. If one has to issue an advertisement in the print media, it has to get prior approval from Election Commission of India. So this is called concurrent regulation. Then if someone is violating the model code of conduct, there is a complaint mechanism also. C Vigil app has been released by Election Commission of India. So you and me, anyone can lodge a complaint with Election Commission of India using this C Vigil. C means citizen vigilance. Then it also have certain punitive intervention. It imposes certain punishment also. For example, when UP Chief Minister was found saying certain communal speeches, then he was banned from campaigning for 3 days. So such things are also done. Then some corrective orders, like something wrong has already happened. For example, in case of Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister, he has used his chopper or like helicopter for going into an election campaign. In that case, The Election Commission ordered that the Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister must pay for his air travels. It should not, the public money should not be used for election campaigning purposes. So here you can see that first the standards are set, then standards ensure the level playing field, there are concurrent regulations, there are corrective measures, there are punitive measures. So all these things are taken and there is a complaint mechanism also. These things ensure that there is level playing field. So these things proves that there is some effectiveness in model code of conduct. But then the problem is that model code of conduct is about morality, and in India we all know, this is an open secret, that moral people are not supposed to go into politics. Politics is a kichad, in Hindi we say mud. So you will be dirty if you do politics, and politics means dirty politics in our country. So model code of conduct is followed more in abeyance. Mostly it is violated. We come to know about model code of conduct through the violation only. In fact, like election is going to happen uh, in Maharashtra, etc. as well, and very often, very frequently in the newspaper, you will see the examples of model code of conduct being violated. So let's see how it has lost the effectiveness, where it is ineffective. For example, Election Commission of India is being considered a toothless body. It doesn't have enough power to impose these model code of conduct. And political parties very brazenly violate the model code of conduct. And see, uh, you can take any example. You can take example of any day. I mean, the day on which you are writing the paper, on that day also you will get some violation, etc. But one thing that when we are talking of it being a toothless, like political parties, you can take the example that it did not even issue a notice to Prime Minister. Like the Prime Minister during the 2024 election campaign gave a speech which was considered in violation of model code of conduct. The opposition leaders complained. In that case, the notice was not even issued to the person who has given this speech. Rather, a notice was issued to the party president. It shows the lack of spine, which many of the commentators say, of the Election Commission of India. Next is like Election Commission does not have power to deregister political party. It does not have power to disqualify a candidate if model code of conduct is violated. So why would anyone not violate it? Suppose I do a violation, like Prime Minister gave the speech, nothing happened against him. Why should he not give similar speech if required again? Obviously, the speech should lead to benefit. I mean, giving the speech daily ultimately uh, it can backfire as well. So such speeches are only given sparingly. Next is there is no deterrence effect if no action is taken. MCC has become a rule book. Next thing is that what we wanted, that it should be a model code of conduct, it should be a moral principles, etc. But rather what has become is that it has become a rule book. It has become another law in itself. It has extended beyond 250 pages. There are 150 different circulars which are part of model code of conduct. They go into details like what should be the size of the advertisement, what should be the size of your banner, etc. Like these nitty gritties, etc. And they are more of a tool of harassment rather than a tool of morality. Next is it has its limitation in regulating the social media campaigns. Social media campaigns invariably, especially now after coming of artificial intelligence, like a lot of morphed images or videos, misrepresenting videos, they are edited videos, they are publicized and election commission has no tools to control the spread of such videos. And it also has a chilling effect on governance. This is a very good point. Like when model code of conduct is imposed, a lot of governance activities are stopped. In fact, it is said that like the capital expenditure of the government in the first half of this financial year, this capex is running behind target, and probably in this financial year the government of India may miss its capital expenditure target because of the fact that there was a model code of conduct for large part of of the first quarter. Second point that can be said is that even the bureaucracy, the on ground bureaucracy, it stops working. Like if you go to the bureaucracy about anything, it will say that model code of conduct is imposed. Acharya संहिता लगी हुई है. In Hindi they will say. Okay, like in yesterday's newspaper, Yogendra Yadav has used a very good term. Like the bureaucrats goes on governance holidays. Governance holiday. The routine activities that, like routine services that citizens are entitled to, they are also not delivered to the citizens in the name of model code of conduct. Next is, there is also accusation of partiality on the Election Commission of India. The model code of conduct itself was there. The purpose of model code of conduct to ensure the level playing field, and as soon as the implementing agency, which is Election Commission of India, it becomes biased. For example, in the during 2019 election, the Prime Minister gave an address on Mission Shakti. Mission Shakti was the capability that India has developed, like it's an anti-satellite weapon. So if this is something that first the testing was done when model code of conduct was in operation, and then the Prime Minister also gave an address to the nation after the testing was done. So this is something which was definitely a violation of model code of conduct, because we have agreed that the political leaders will not address or inaugurate any public project. So this is something which was definitely, and obviously no action was taken by Election Commission of India. Okay, there has also been instances where the election dates have been delayed. I mean, the announcement of election date have been delayed by Election Commission of India so that the program of Prime Minister could go on, could continue. So these are the instances. You should also keep noting the instances of violation of model code of conduct. These examples will make your answer unique. And like do not take the name, just write PM, CM, etc. Okay, UPCM, MPCM, something like that. Avoid taking names. It's simply because it gives a kind of political color to your answer, although there is nothing wrong, because whatever example that you are taking is the example which is written everywhere, like every commentator in every newspaper, they are writing it. But still, I would say that let's not get political. If you have any doubt till now, you may ask, or you can post the doubt. I will take it after I discuss the way forward. So what should happen? One idea is that Yogendra Yadav is saying that let's do away with the farce of model code of conduct. There is no need to have model code of conduct, though there is no need to have something which is followed more in violation. But I would not go to that extent. I would not say that you should recommend for doing away with model code of conduct. Rather, what you should recommend is that we should have an election commission with a spine, and there should be, like, the election commission should be acting as a autonomous body. All those recommendations that we have given for making election commission a strong, autonomous, those should be implemented. Ultimately, election commission has to implement. No law is effective till the time enforcement agencies are powerful. effective, and enforcement agencies are rational, logical, independent, and in this case enforcement agency is election commission. Let's see some of the other examples. One idea is that we should do legalization of model code of conduct. Okay, like a standing committee, parliamentary standing committee has recommended in 2013 that model code of conduct to be part of representation of people act. I would say you should not write this recommendation. This is not a good idea. The reason is simple. First thing is that most of the provisions in model code of conduct are already legalized. Like I have given you example, in corrupt practices they are already there in Representation of People Act. There are already provisions in BNSS which does not allow to spread enmity, which does not allow to spread violence. There are already provisions against the false statement. Defamation laws are there. So as such, these provisions which are not allowed under MCC, they are also covered by one law or another. So that's why legalizing is of no use. And the second thing is the very purpose of model code of conduct was that you cannot go to the court. The purpose was that it should provide quick action. That quick action, quick remedy would be taken away. The promptness and the swiftness would be gone if you legalize it. If you legalize it, then FIR has to be registered, investigation has to happen, then charge sheet would be filed in the court, and then the court will give chance to both the party to present their case, and then there would be judgment. By that time, election would be concluded, and whoever has done wrong will be awarded for his conduct. And then it also requires flexibility. That flexibility would be gone if we have this legalization. So this is not a good idea. This could be a question in itself, that whether we should legalize it. You have to take a stand against it. This is not a very well accepted proposition. Even Election Commission of India is not in its favor. This once a parliamentary committee has recommended, but later on this idea does not get favor from Election Commission. Next is that other suggestion you can give, that its ambit should be increased, like how to effectively handle the social media. This should also brought into its domain. The second ARC also said that there should be dedicated units to observe conduct of model code of conduct. Okay, and it should give annual report to the legislature. This is a good suggestion. Right? Like we are also saying, recommending, last class we have recommended that Election Commission of India should have a permanent secretariat of its own. In that we can add another aspect, that one, there should be a dedicated unit to observe the conduct of MCC as well. And then there should be awareness and sensitization measures, like voters, etc. They should be aware now what is violation of model code of conduct. Then only they can use the C-Vigil app. So obviously this is a general suggestion that you can put, but more importantly, you need to have a Election Commission of India with a spine. First, you got to make this body strong, protect the autonomy of Election Commission of India. This is the key suggestion. If you have any doubt, please let me know. Next, see, the level playing field is violated mostly by two things. These days, if we look at the conduct of election, one is money power, another is muscle power. So now we are going to see these two things, how money and muscle power are influencing our election. Money power means those who are having more money, they are winning the election. They are not at par with those who are having less money. Even if you are popular, if you do not have money, you will not be elected. Second is that maybe you have money, maybe you may not have money, you may be popular, so ideally you should be representative, but then there is a person who is very much powerful. He will have guns, he will use threat tactics, and ultimately, because of his criminal antecedent, he will win. You may withdraw from the election, you can be afraid of contesting the election. So, money and muscle power, muscle is not only this, muscle is about all those criminal tactics which can be used. So, let's first discuss with the money power. So, we should have first facts to support our contention that there is money power in our election. See, in fact, you can see that in 2024 election, the total expenditure is 1,35,000 crore. You know, this is nearly, very nearly touching the amount involved in 2G scam. Obviously there the number was more, but well, that was not an actual number, that was a notional loss in 2G scam which was calculated, whereas this is the actual number, the actual expenditure that has been done by, see, this expenditure includes the expenditure by candidates, political parties, as well as the Election Commission of India, uh, but this number is like approximately 2.5 times the budget allocated to MG Narega. This much expenditure is done in 2024 election. This is very much almost equal or maybe more, yeah, slightly more than the expenditure in US presidential election. Now, even if it is equal, well, US is the largest economy. The per capita income of US is much more than ours per capita income. Okay. And here you can see that if we calculate the cost of each vote in 2019, it was 700. In 2024, it has become 1400. In fact, per constituency cost, if we have to calculate, on an average, per constituency cost is 200 crore. This is the level of expenditure that has happened, 200 crore per constituency. And if you have to look at these things in the context, the law allows, we have seen in yesterday's class as well, that a person is allowed the expenditure of 95 lakhs only, not even 1 crore. So, one candidate is only allowed an expenditure of 95 lakhs in larger state in Lok Sabha constituency. In smaller states, it is even lesser, only 75 lakhs. Even if suppose on an average 15 candidates are there, it should have been around 15 crore or so, but actually it is 200 crore. And not all the candidates are serious. The serious contestant are only 2 and 3 in any constituency. So effectively you can say that all the candidates are approximately spending around 40 to 50 crore, all the serious candidates who have some real chances, who consider that we have a real chance of winning the election. On an average 40 to 50 crore are being spent. How is a normal person compete with them? You cannot even compete with that person who is Kaupati, and this is visible in this data also. This is a data from 2019 election, but you can see that the candidates who have the wealth less than 1 crore, they were 71% such candidate, but among winning candidate, there is only 12% such people who have won the election. So, in case you are not a crorepati, your chances of winning election is very less. The candidates who are crorepati, are only 29%, but among winners 88%, approximately 9 in the 10 is crorepati people only. So, I mean, this time it has further increased. It has now increased to 93%. 93% of MPs in 2024 election is crorepati. Now, the question that must come to mind: what's wrong if rich people are only becoming the MPs? Why are you saying, sir, that it is wrong? I am saying this because look at the people of India. 22% people are below poverty line. They do not have even enough money to fill their stomach, and they are represented by people who are having wealth worth crores. There is a definite disconnect between the represented and representative. Okay. And obviously, first thing is it is violating the level playing field. Those who are crorepati, they are not able to compete with those who are, sorry, those who are normal people, may be popular, but they are not able to compete with those who are crorepati. Second is that they can often manipulate the voters if they have money. Like people are also, they take beer bottle on the eve of the election, they enjoy the foreign liquor, and then they vote the next day. This is also leading to moral degradation of voters, or you can say society. The statistics says that 10 to 12% voters acknowledged getting cash directly. Not of, even we are not only talking about the beer bottle or liquor bottle, directly cash 10 to 12% voter have got in the last election. And then two-thirds of them said that they are aware that other voters also received cash. So two-thirds of the people have seen someone getting cash. Such is the common. So obviously the moral principle, moral fabric of our society goes down because of the money power. Then there is a disconnect between represented and representative. And see, the next thing is that from where are these people going to get this money? So these people invariably, they take money from corporates. Like these corporates, companies, businesses, businessmen, they have the money. They might not always contest election. So someone might be contesting election. We have seen also the pressure group. The pressure groups, they support someone. There is one tool that is electioneering. So those political parties who are contesting election, they will support someone. They will finance the election. Why are they financing the election? So that in future, when that person goes into the power, that person will return the favor. So there is always this going to be an influence, because the person who is like minister today is definitely feeling indebted to the corporate who has funded his election. Okay, and the policies etc will have this corporate bias. There are instances of quid pro quo. You can take the example of say CWG scam, Commonwealth scam, sorry, coal scam, 2G scam, any scam you can take. Suit wood ki sarkar, the accusation which is laid down. Then it also perpetuates corruption. If someone has spent 40 to 50 crore rupees to win the election, he will definitely try to at least earn 400, 500 crore after winning the election. Otherwise, it's a lost business, na? You cannot invest in something like why do you spend on becoming engineer? You pay fee of say 4 5 lakh rupees so that you get a salary of, or you get a job which gives you a salary of 10 lakh rupees. Suppose in engineering college says you that you give me the fee of say 8 lakh rupees, but you will get salary of only 80,000, 80,000 or the package that you will receive is of only 2 lakh rupees, 3 lakh rupees. Will you take admission in those colleges? Very less chances are there. So obviously someone after winning the election, because he is also not sure that if I would be able to win election next time or not, next to next time or not. So he must accumulate as much money in these 5 years as possible. So it also perpetuates corruption. And obviously one way of corruption is also that of voters. Voters are also getting corrupted. And the bureaucrats, it also corrupts the bureaucrats in this process. In fact, see, there is my analysis by me that in India, to be a politician and to be an honest, I mean, to be honest is not possible. If you are in politics and you are honest, the salary etc. that you get by being an MP or MLA is in few lakhs. You have already spent crores. So ultimately, it's a losing cause. And why would anyone engage in this losing business? So practically, it is not possible in India, economically, rather not practically. From economic sense, strictly speaking, it is a lost business to be an MP or MLA, if you have to be honest. So any politician remaining honest is not a possibility. Strictly from economic sense. That means that the hard-earned money of his other profession or maybe hard-earned money of his ancestors, he is deciding to throw into the public service. That is also a possibility, maybe out of the 543, 3-4 people can be of that kind. But this is not the normal economic sense. Obviously, I am giving something very uh, confusing or very debatable, and a lot of you may not agree with this, but if you simply apply your mind using like cool head, you will simply not get the answer. How can someone spend more than what he is expected to get as a reward? Not a possibility. And how can he maximize the reward? Only through some illegal means. Then obviously if that person has taken a lot of money from someone else to contest this election, he will feel accountable to that person rather than feeling the accountability to the people. So this is defeating the democracy. In democracy, the accountability should be towards people, not should be towards some other businessman. And then there is also use of black money. It's not that all the money will come from the corporates only. There would be use of black money also in the elections. That's why a lot of cash is seized. A lot of these payments happen in cash only. And to stop this black money in election, the government has got something called electoral bonds. Very beautiful and very a smart move by the government. This is something which was brought by the government. The Supreme Court has declared it unconstitutional. It was not transparent, and Supreme Court said that transparency is more important than eradicating black money. Like Article 19 say, Supreme Court said that the freedom of speech and expression requires, yesterday we have seen that Supreme Court has given a judgment that right to information is part of freedom of speech and expression. It's a fundamental right. The Supreme Court said that that fundamental right cannot be curtailed on the ground of curbing black money, because Article 19(2) does not give exception as to curb black money. You can restrict the fundamental rights. So, like since this matter has already been dealt, Supreme Court judgment has come. There is, I mean, if at all a question has to be asked, it has to be asked this year in 2024. In 2025 onwards, I do not expect a question to be asked. Okay, but there are some other concepts probably which are being recommended as alternative financial models. That is something that you should be aware. You can give as a suggestion. So I would rather teach you this. One idea that is being given is that of electoral trust. What is electoral trust? So the idea is simple. Like in electoral bond, what was happening that a corporate is directly giving money to the political party. Now, why electoral bond was brought? That see, corporate has to do business. The parties can come and go, but it has to do business. And corporates are always afraid that see, if I donate to party B, and suppose the party B loses the election, party C can come to the power. Then in that case, if party C is aware that I have donated to party B, probably party C can engage in revenge politics. So they are afraid of this. So that's why they wanted a mechanism where there should not be any retaliation against them for supporting or not supporting any political party. This should remain unknown that I have supported some other political parties. Okay. So in this context, like electoral bond was brought, and in this context, this idea of electoral trust is given. So it would be a company under Companies Act 1956. So it is like multiple corporates like Tata, Ambani, Adani, Birla, Paytm. Okay. All these corporates they can come together and form a electoral trust. All these corporate will give their deposit in this trust. Okay. So a kitty would be created by these corporates, and then this trust would donate to various party B, party C, party A also. So it is not that directly Ambani or Adani or Tata or Paytm is donating to this political party. Rather, these political parties are donating to a trust, and then that trust is managed by some representative of these companies, and this trust is donating to this political party. So first, all this money is coming to a common pool, that is trust, and then from common pool, some money will go to A, some money will go to B, some money will go to C. So an individual political party cannot be blamed for donating to certain political party. In fact, that trust can donate to like various political party in some proportion that they can decide in their board meeting, etc. So this is one way where like individual companies will be spared from the retaliation politics or revenge politics. Another idea is that let's like this is extension of this electoral trust idea only, that let's find a national election fund at the national level itself. So no one, why should only companies? All the companies and all the individual corporates and individual should not donate directly to political party, rather they should contribute to this national election fund, and from this national election fund then again different political parties will get money in the on the basis of some pre-agreed formula. So whoever wants that there should be like political parties should get some donation, they should contribute to national election fund, and from that fund based on certain agreed formula the money would be given to various political parties. The problem with both these ideas, especially with the second idea, is that I want to donate a political party based on the belief in its ideologies. Why do I donate? I mean, I have my money, I love my money. So I want to donate this money to a political party because I have faith in its ideology. I like the ideology of that political party. Now, if I am donating some money to this election fund, a part of my money might go to a political party which has contradictory ideology. Say, I might like a party A, but then the 1 rupee that I am donating, its 50 paisa is going to A and 50 paisa is going to B also. I might not be interested in donating to the party B. So that's the problem, that a person's an individual's money might go to a person or will definitely go to a person or the party which he is not liking. So as such the individual choice is lost. This is the problem with these ideas. Okay, we should, like, as an UPSC aspirant, practically nothing is going to change. The existing mechanism will continue. But as a UPSC aspirant, we should have the idea. What are the different ideas being floated? What is good about that idea? What is not good about that idea? Okay, if you have any doubt, we can discuss. These ideas, like, are supposed to be discussed, debated. Then only they are purified. Next, another idea is that of a state funding of election. Now, I expect that a specific question can be asked about a state funding of election. So, this is again very simple idea, that why should any individual or any um, company should fund the election? Rather, shouldn't it happen that, see, these are the people who are contesting election. Why? To become the prime minister, to become the minister, to become the MLA, MP. So ultimately, they are going to do a public duty. So the funding for this should also come from the government. Like, they are going to be a office bearer of the state. Like, either they are going to be a part of legislature or executive. So it should be the state which should fund the election. So from that principle, this idea of state funding of election comes. The idea is simple. It refers to a system in which the government provides financial supports. Who is providing financial support? It is the government which is providing the financial support to political parties and candidates to facilitate their participation in the electoral process. So now, if the funding for all the election is coming from the government itself, no one is at disadvantage. The whole debate of violation of level playing field is gone. Now everyone has the equal opportunity. Those who are more popular among people, probably they will attract more vote. It's not that those who are running with helicopter, those who are doing more pomp and show, biggest drama, biggest rally, it's not that those people will win. Those who are more popular, they will win election. So that's the beauty of a state funding of election. And, like, before going on to the further debate about these benefits, etc., I would give you a simple example of how election is conducted in my college, that is IIT Kharagpur. In IIT Kharagpur, we have something called SOAP, and it's like a statement of purpose. So all those people, like, there is election for the Gymkhana, and those who want to contest election, all of those candidate, uh, they they are provided a common ground, a common place, and in that common place, like, some representative of various hostels are there. They ask questions from these candidates, and these candidates have to give answers to that. And then, like, this is something that happens in public forum. Like, they are students from all the hostels, like, through of the college, they watch these debates. This is kind of presidential debate that happens in USA. So this is something which is organized. So in place of rallies, what is happening, that there is a common rally for all the candidates, and everyone is coming to those rallies. And then what is happening, that the answer is given by various candidates. The debate is, like, moderated by a few people, and, like, no other means of campaigning is allowed, except that, like, individually you can personally contact. No pamphlet, etc., no banner, etc., is allowed. Only these videos are circulated, these videos are watched by the students, and then based on this, the students decide who is going to be their candidate, or their preferred candidate, who is going to be their representative. So similar mechanism we can have in MP MLA election also. Like, there we can have the common platform, common rallies, which are to be organized by the state, by the government itself, and on those common platform only, like everyone can, the nearby people can come to those rallies, they can watch, they can listen to all the candidates, and then they can decide which candidate they want their vote to be given. Okay. What is going to be the benefit of state funding of election? The benefit of state funding of election, the first is that it establishes the level playing field. We have already seen it. The second benefit is it reduces the outside influence on policy making, the influence of the corporates, etc. That is also reduced. So policy making can improve. It will reduce the illegitimate and unnecessary funding of election expenses. So, like, in fact, election expenses will also reduce. There would be reduced expenses. If there is reduced expenses, there is also going to be less use of black money. And all those problems that we have just talked about of the money power, that can be addressed. And then the another benefit is that it will attract more people towards politics, because now there is a level playing field. Anyone who consider himself as a popular person, he can think of joining politics. It's not that only rich will join politics, only influential will join politics. Okay. There would be no crony capitalism. I hope you understand the meaning of crony capitalism, where corporates and, like, there's a when corporates and bureaucrats are hand in hand, and like the policies are made for the benefit of corporates or a particular corporate, then we call it as crony capitalism. Okay. And these elections, there are two different ways in which this state funding of election can happen. It could happen either direct funding, or there could be indirect funding. Direct funding could be in terms of, like, money could be given, or like all the election related mechanism, election related expenses are covered by the government. This could be direct funding. Indirect funding, that something like some things which are required during election, some kind of support is provided. So that indirect funding is even happening now. Like, there are various ways in which political parties are benefiting from the government. For example, they are allocated free airtime on public broadcasters. If you are still watching Doordarshan, I don't know how many of you are watching now, but like in our childhood, we used to watch definitely. In the evening, like all political parties, obviously national political parties, sorry, recognized political parties. So all the recognized political parties, they are allowed that one of their representative will appear on the Doordarshan or DD News or some other channels, and they will address the people. They will talk about their manifesto, the benefits, etc., whatever they want to say. Okay, so this is also like, this is kind of advertisement being done through Doordarshan, which is happening free of cost. So this is also a support being given. Next is, like, they are provided security, their rallies, security during their rallies are provided, office spaces are provided, and subsidies are provided in electricity, water, etc. They are also exempted from income tax. So this is a huge income indirectly. Otherwise, if income tax is to be imposed, like in the case of Congress, we have seen how big is their demand of the, like, in 1,000 crore rupees, the demand of income tax is there from the income tax department. So that is the amount of exemption that these political parties are getting. So this is like, any money saved is money earned. Okay, but there are some arguments which are given against the state funding of election also. Obviously, there are arguments, that's why it is not being implemented. And the biggest argument, or rather all the committees that have been formulated to look into the issue of state funding of election, is that we do not have money. The position of Treasury of India is not conducive to fund the election. Okay. So first is it will give additional burden on taxpayers, and it also has potential for misuse. Ultimately, see, state funding is happening, so the government will allocate the money to various political parties, and then the various political party will use this money to contest the election. Government will always be in a position to influence this allocation, whatever be the authority. Either government will do this allocation itself, or like if it is done through election commission or some other mechanism, government will always have influence to control the allocation and distribution. And this dependency can curtail the innovation and grassroots connection. Like these days, a lot many political parties are also taking donations from the people when they go for the campaigning, when they go for door to door campaigning. In that process, they also collect money from the people. So this establishes the grassroots connection. There are certain innovative techniques are also used, like dinner with CM. This is something which was used by Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi, that there was 1 lakh rupees per plate. This was the cost of the dinner. You can have dinner with the chief minister. You have to donate 1 lakh rupees. So such various innovative ideas have been employed time and again. Those innovation will be lost if we if we provide state funding of election. And then it would have its own challenges in implementation, like if we are giving money, how you are utilizing its accounting related challenges, auditing related challenges, to decide like how to give money to say candidate independent candidate, how to give money to them. This is going to be another challenge. What is going to be the eligibility criteria? So there are implementation challenges. It is not easy to implement these ideas. So these are the arguments that says that we should not go for a state funding of election. But even bigger than this challenge, I would rather say that, see, when you are giving money, you have no way of stopping that person from using the current sources of money. See, today also these political parties are getting money from say corporates. They are taking money from like black money. And then you are saying that tomorrow government will also give you 1 crore rupees to each candidate. Like 95 lakh is the money that they are supposed to spend. Government will give 1 crore rupees. There is no guarantee that he will not use his other 45 crore rupees that he has. Since there is no guarantee, all the ills that are there will continue along with the expenditure by the state exchequer. So, it is also a possibility that this would be an like a status quo will continue even if there is a state funding of election, because you may not be able to stop that person from using his or her own money. So what is effectively happening, that like additional burden on taxpayer, or like there could be diversion of funds from existing scheme. Some scheme has to be closed, and it will only lead to more show off, more pomp and show during elections, not changing anything on ground. So that's why the various committees etc. that has been formed, they have recommended that these funding should be in kind and only to recognized political parties. Like Indrajit Gupta committee has also recommended the same. Second ARC also recommended that there should be partial funding, and even the law commission have also recommended that there should be partial funding. But the reason given by all these committees have been that India's financial position, ठीक है, like India is financially not strong enough, to go for it, to go for a state funding of election. But the Law Commission in 1999 had said that if parties are prohibited from taking other funds, if we could find one mechanism whereby we are stopping the political parties from taking any other fund in any medium, in that case we can go for full funding. But before that we should put appropriate regulatory framework, and this regulatory framework should also be about bringing inner party democracy. This would bring about inner party democracy, accountability, accounting standards, auditing standards. So all these regulatory frameworks should be first strengthened. The political parties should be stopped from taking funds from outside, and then we should go for full funding. Till then we should go for partial funding. This is something that I would rather like, that yes, this is a suggestion which should be implemented. So you can mention about the various committees, and then this could be your stand. Some other suggestions for curbing money power, like this is not a suggestion for state funding of election only, suggestions for curbing money power. Like overall our topic was that there is influence of money power in elections in India. So what are the other suggestions? Like mandate political party to disclose all sources of funding. Currently, like if they are receiving a donation which is of more than 20,000, they have to declare from where they have got the donation. Any donation received in the amount less than that, they need not declare it. But see, the problem here is like a lot of cash donation, they are saying that this is something that all the cash that we have got is in the tune of less than 20,000. Who gave me? Like people are coming and putting money, and we do not know who gave to us. Like BSP simply said once that 100% of its donation is in the amount, or in the, what you say, bundle of less than 20,000 only. So it did not declare any source of its funding. In fact, most of the political parties are only declaring 25 to 30% of their source of funding only. They say that the rest of the funding we do not know from where it came. This practice should be stopped. There should be transparency in funding. Next is there should be limit on expenditure of political party. We have also seen that currently there is limit on the expenditure by individual candidate, but the political parties are spending way more than individual candidate. Okay, so this should also be limited. And then the corporate, there should be limit on the donation that can be given by a corporate as well. And there should be regular audit of income expenditure, and there should be compliance with all the laws which are already existing. That should also be done, like it is with respect to political parties. And we can explore some new technologies like blockchain and other technology to record and track the funding, so that black money is not used in election. So these are the suggestions you have to write. Maybe when you become IAS officer itself, you can utilize, explore these technologies, that how we can use to curb the instances of black money. Like someone has given this idea that the new 2000 rupees note is having a nano chip. So if you have a lot many notes at any place, then the government will come to know. Maybe this was just a meme, this was a rumor which was spread at that point of time, but this could be a reality in future. The way the technology is evolving, maybe one day we can have something like that. E-rupee is there, like which is being made popular by the government of India. So if we can do away with like cash and all those things, in future these technologies can also help us. And obviously there has to be awareness. This is one point, like in polity, I do not teach it. Spreading awareness among the voters, among the people about the, like ultimately one problem is also that we are taking money. So someone is giving money. We like we are corruptible as a voter. Our conscience does not say that okay, these are the people who are corrupting us, who are paying us bribe. This is something wrong. They will not do good with the public money. They should not be trusted with the public authority. We are not having this proposition. So first we will, only when we would improve ourselves as a voter, things are going to change in our election. Okay. Next topic that we have to see is criminalization of politics. This is something like you must have studied. This is more frequently UPSC has already asked question as well. But this is an evergreen topic, remains in news always, and has a very high probability of being asked always. Okay, let's see how do you define criminalization of politics. So criminalization of politics, the way we understand now, is that a person with criminal background is in politics. That is what we are calling it, criminalization of politics. There was also a phenomena of politicization of criminals. If you go into nitty-gritties, obviously these two terms are different. Politicization of criminals means that someone who was a dreaded criminal earlier, like he was a dacoit, he was a gangster. Now that criminal has decided to contest election. That was politicization of criminals. And then the criminalization of politics was slightly different. That those who are already in politics, they are getting engaged in criminal activity, or they are getting attached to the criminals. Okay, so earlier this conception was that these are the politicians who are pure good people, and then there are criminals. So when these politicians are getting associated with criminals, this is something which was criminalization of politics. And then also we are saying that sometimes this politician, they can himself become a criminal. This would be criminalization of politics. But nowadays, like when we use this word criminalization of politics, we are not making this a small distinction until unless the question specifically says, or which can usually be asked in ethics paper. In polity, what we are saying that either way, see, all these various scenarios are included in this concept of criminalization of politics. If a person is having criminal antecedent, whether he was originally a criminal and then became politician, or whether he was originally a politician then became a criminal, it doesn't matter. We will keep it simple. Okay. And obviously, the politicians are having connections with the criminals. That is also included in criminalization of politics. Let's see what you can define. It refers to the involvement of individuals with a criminal record in the political arena. This involves criminals running for and be elected to positions in parliament and state legislature. So this is not necessarily, I am not saying that this has to be a dated criminal beforehand. So like those who are in politics, if they have become engaged in some kind of criminal activity and now they are contesting election, this is also termed as criminalization of politics. Now, why is this happening? Like, before going further to the regions, I will give you the data. Like, this is something which is increasing 30%, 34%, 43%, and then 46%. This was the number of MPs or the share of MPs who were having criminal charges against them in 2009. This is something which was there in 2014. This was something in 2019, and now we are very close to crossing the majority. Like criminals will form the government in few years if they were to form a political party. So now 46% of our MPs in current Lok Sabha, they have criminal charges. Obviously, they are not convicted, and even if they are convicted, they are not convicted of say uh, more than 2 years, or convicted of those offences which disqualify them, because had they been convicted, they would have become disqualified. Okay. So the next question comes is that we are seeing this number continuously increasing. Why is there a increment? Why are more people with criminal antecedent are joining politics, or why are politicians more often getting engaged in criminal activities? The answer is that the nexus between crime and politics is a symbiotic nexus, or it leads to mutual benefit. See, criminals will often uh, capture booth for the politician. They will threaten people not to vote against them or to vote in favor. Criminals not only threaten the people, but criminals also fund election. I say politicians need a lot of money to contest election. From where will you get the money? So not all the politicians will have connection only with the businessman, and businessman will give. A lot many criminals also, they collect money from these businessmen, these gangsters, etc. Like Lawrence Bisnoy, you were saying Lawrence Bisnoy is taking money from all these so famous people, threatening them. Obviously he also run the risk of getting killed in an encounter, so he also needs a political patronage. All these gangsters, major one, whoever are famous one, they have political patronage. So there is a symbiotic relationship between politicians and criminals. Criminals provide money. Criminals bring about the muscle power to win the election. They help the politician winning the election, and after that, politician provides protection to these criminals. They give patronage. They influence the state machinery not to arrest them. Okay. So then we also have a very legal framework, like RPA Act 1951 says that only if you are sentenced for 2 years or more, then only you would be eligible. So like sentencing does not happen, like the conviction rate of elected representative is around 6%. So if you are an elected representative in a state legislative assembly or parliament, then your chances of getting convicted is less than 6%. So ADR is recommending that rather than a requirement of conviction, even if a charge sheet is filed, charges are framed against a person that involve imprisonment of 5 years or more, that should lead to disqualification. So even framing of charges should be a sufficient ground for disqualification. Then our judicial process is also very slow. Like in the fodder scam case, it took around 20 years, 20 or 21 years for the conviction of Lalu Prasad Yadav. Fodder scam, 21 years for judgment to be pronounced. So by that time, even after getting accused in a scam, even after actually doing the scam, since he has been convicted, now we know, we can say that he has actually done this scam. He was contesting election, he was the railway minister. So someone who has done the fodder scam has also again been entrusted with railway and various other ministry as well. Okay. Then there is a weak internal party democracy. That is also a reason. We have seen it yesterday also. Like internally, there is a centralization in all political parties. The tickets in ticket distribution, the it is the high command culture is there. High command decides who will get ticket and who will not get ticket. There is no internal elections etc. involves in distribution of ticketing. And then there is a vote bank politics also. Winnability is the criteria. Morality etc. has taken the back seat. Those who can win the election, and see these criminals very often they are like Robin Hood. These criminals have the image of Robin Hood in their constituency. What Robin Hood used to do? So Robin Hood would take money from one person and would give money to some other person. In this process, he become hero among the masses. But the very act of collecting money from someone forcibly, because see, someone has earned that money, maybe he is rich, but he has not become rich by looting someone. He has done a business, and because of that business, or maybe he was doing a job, because of that he has become rich. So this Robin Hood kind of image that these criminals have, they make them popular, and because they have the benevolity, they get the tickets. And then obviously voters are to be held responsible. Voters also do not have criminal as a criteria. Like a lot many people say that we should make voters aware against criminalization of politics. Well, voters are always aware that so and so candidate, like in my constituency also in this year's election, the person who has been elected, he has criminal various murder charges in double digit. And it is an open secret in the constituency that everyone who is doing business, he has to uh, uh, send money to that particular politician every month. Everyone who is like even the government servant, BDO etc. on the ground, although like the saying goes like that he takes money from those who is earning illicit money. So if you are earning money through bribes etc., you have to deposit a share of your bribe with that politician. I'm not saying that the bribe taking is good, but see, this is how the mechanism he has built, that people have a sympathy for them. People do not understand that, see, two wrongs cannot make it right. So the voters' lack of understanding is also the problem. So what is the suggestion? I will see. I will give you suggestion about all these items here only. This we have already seen the suggestion that even if someone is accused, ADR is given. In case of slow judicial process, the suggestion is that we should have fast track courts, especially for those people who are contesting elections. Okay, and then we should bring about the inner party democracy. This is a suggestion which is given by the Law Commission. We have just seen in the last slide. Law Commission says that there should be a inner party democracy. Okay, and then regarding the voters' apathy, we can have the suggestion that there should be voter education and awareness. What's the problem with criminals contesting election? There's something you must be knowing. I'm not going to tell you anything new, so I will very quickly cover these points. If you have any doubt, you can ask it in the comment section. See, first and foremost is free and fair election is compromised. The criminals will use their muscle power. They often threaten the voters. They not only threaten the voters, they also threaten the other candidate. Sometimes they kill their competitor also. They murder their competitor as well, like Pappu Yadav has done it. Okay. Then the biggest problem is that these law breakers become lawmakers. Ultimately, these politicians will make laws. So that's what we have seen, that electoral reform, police reform, these are the things which have never happened. Why? Because lawbreaker will not make any law against themselves. So effective, the law making would also not be effective. And not only that, we have just seen that these politicians, they give patronage to the criminals. So ultimately, they will further weaken the criminal justice system. And we have seen, and as a result, what will happen? The people will say that politicians are all corrupt. This politics is very dirty. We should not engage in politics. There is no hope. The country is doomed. So people trust in democratic system will go down. People will start giving us statements like probably China is better. We need some dictatorship. The democracy is being questioned because of criminalization of politics. And then they will definitely pose challenge to India's development, like investment, etc. If there are more criminal activities, those regions will not attract investment. Look at UP and Bihar. Despite having so much of manpower, so much of cheap labor, they are not attracting businesses. Why? Because there is law and order problem. Infuses inequality and exclusion. Well, if the free and fair election is violated, it will definitely lead to exclusion of people. It will lead to inequality. And then there is morality related problem also. This is something, this is the point that most of the students do not write, that they set wrong role models for young generation. Young generation start thinking that these are the people, like this is also the way through which you can become the politician. This is leads to erosion of moral fabric. The societal ethics goes down. Like these days, a lot many people do not hesitate in taking corruption, etc. Because now those people who are taking corruption, they have become rich. They have huge building, a lot of wealth. So people are uh, now saying their child also that, okay, why don't you compete the exam? Most of the people who are competing or rather writing these exams, they have this agenda in their mind that they will earn a lot of money. Obviously, not only through salaries. So the social fabric is going down because of criminalization of politics, because criminals are succeeding. They should not succeed. It's not only that right people should succeed. Wrong people succeeding also gives a wrong message. Okay. There is also another term, like with respect to this, it can lead to voters apathy, like people not going to vote, people not being interested in democracy. This is also something which will happen in case there is criminalization of politics. So what are the suggestions? We have already seen various suggestions in the previous slide, like having the fast track court, spreading awareness, etc. But apart from that, I would discuss with you two different suggestions. Okay. First suggestion is that we should have a system of double ballot or second ballot. The argument is that there is criminalization of politics also because of the first past the post system. In first past the post system, what is happening, that criminals are finding it easy to get say 30% or 40% of the votes. You need not find the majority of the votes. So that's why even by getting 30% vote, criminals are able to win the election when the votes are divided against them. So in double ballot system, what will happen, that it would be necessary to get 50% vote to be declared winner. In case a candidate does not get 50% vote, in that case there would be re-election among top two candidates. So there would be re-election. In that re-election, only two candidates would contest, and it is expected that when one of, I mean, people would definitely reject the criminal candidate. I mean, in the second election, those people would prefer a candidate with non-criminal background. Okay, so people will more often, there are chances that in this re-election, there are chances that criminal candidate would be rejected. Well, we have this double ballot system. Double ballot system has other merits as well. Like, see, ultimately in this re-election, one person will get 50% vote. So it also give primacy to the fact that the person who is elected will be having more trust of the people. It is definitely leading to better representation. And this is an election mechanism which is followed in France. In French presidential election, this model is followed. Okay. Now, this is one idea which is given. Another idea is given by ex-RBI Governor Vimal Jalan. He has given the idea that, see, allow people to contest election, whoever is there. But in case a person with criminal antecedent is elected, suppose a criminal is elected and like charges has already been framed against him. The court has, I mean, investigation is complete. After completion of investigation, charges are framed. That person contests election, he is elected. Then do not allow him to take oath. First, send them to fast track court. And this fast track court will do the trial on day-to-day basis. Within 6 months, it will complete the trial. And after the completion of trial, there are two chances. Either he would be convicted or he would be innocent. In case he is declared innocent, send him to legislature. And in case he is declared convicted, send him to jail. In this process, what is happening that any person who is having the criminal background is not reaching the legislature. If he is having criminal background, first his matter is concluded, maybe it will take 6 months, maybe it can take 1 year. After he is declared innocent by the court, then only he will take oath as a MP or MLA. It has two advantages. First is it will discourage criminal from contesting election. Suppose someone has committed the crime, he would not want his matter to be heard in a fast track court, because there is a risk that he would be convicted and he would he will go to jail. Why? I mean, see, this is another incentive for criminal to contest election, because after contesting election, if he wins the election, he influence the investigation against him. Like, see what has happened. UP Chief Minister had a lot of criminal charges against him. Now all those charges have been dropped by the police. Okay. Same is with our Home Minister also. He was also facing various charges. Now he is acquitted of all those charges. So definitely, if once you come to the power, you can, I am not saying whether he was criminal or not. See, do not misunderstand me. I am not saying that these two politicians were actually committed a crime or not. I am simply giving an example that once you go to the power, you can influence the investigation. This is one of the biggest motivation behind for the criminals to join politics, and that motivation would be lost, because once you win the election, then you go to the jail, then your matter is sent to the fast track court. So first, it will discourage criminals from contesting election. Second, it will also discourage political parties from giving ticket to criminals. Why? Because see, even if a person with criminal background wins the election, at the time of us taking claim to form the government, that person would not be available, because without taking oath, he cannot vote in the legislature. So since he is not available to form the government, I mean, when the voting on confidence motion will happen, that person would not be available. The political parties, even after having enough number of MP or MLA to form the government, may not be able to form the government. So that's why it will also discourage the political parties from giving ticket to criminals. So this is a very good idea in my opinion, that should be seriously considered. The only drawback is that for a period of say 5 months or 6 months, a particular constituency will go unrepresented in the parliament, but that's not a huge drawback. Okay. So these are the ideas. Depending upon the availability of time and a space, you can discuss about these ideas, and since these are the ideas which are relatively innovative, if you mention them, you can definitely get better marks than your peers. Okay, so that's all that I have to cover in this class. I will see you again tomorrow. We have the Diwali vacation. I wish you very happy Diwali, and stay safe. Do burst the crackers if the environment allows, but do not harm the others. Like maybe there are people who might want to sleep late in the night. I personally have a feeling that I should be allowed to sleep after 12. So do take care of your neighbors, other family members, etc. while bursting the crackers, and but do enjoy Diwali as well. It should not happen that you are bogged down by the preparation, you are taking so much of a stress that you are not even enjoying the Diwali. Do enjoy the Diwali, do enjoy the festivities. Tomorrow is the holiday. See you the day after tomorrow, 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Take care. Happy Diwali.